What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host, and I'm being booed by a FAMU hat-wearing Ryan Wilson and John Breech, who are joining me to break down a look.
You're the Russell Wilson of this podcast. That's why we're booing you.
You're the if Russell Wilson and Matt Ryan had a baby, it would be Will Brinson.
It would be Ryan Wilson, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan.
Oops.
What is happening here?
Walked into that one.
Really walked into that one. All right, look, 12-9 final.
It would be more interesting to talk about what my childhood would be like growing up with Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson as my parents, as opposed to talking about this football game.
Our perfunctory small talk before we get into the actual game.
Oh my God, the game sucked.
It sucked so bad. It was fun. So like those games are always fun for like the final 7 to 10 minutes.
No, wrong.
Just in the sense of like you're watching like toddlers like poop.
It was right. It was fun for the final play.
Enjoy watching toddlers poop themselves. But
before you go on, let me ask Breech a quick question because I need
to know what Breech's snack was.
Oh,
the snack you got. You're like, are we going to go live now? And we're like, yes. And then you were like,
disappeared.
You went dark for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then you came back. You're like, I thought I had time to get a snack. What snack or snacks were you getting?
I went dark for 8 minutes from 10:50 till 10:58. I had to go upstairs.
Number 2, and then what did you do after you do the number 2?
Got some delicious honey roasted peanuts, just absolutely delicious. They're extra honey, extra roasted. And then I also got some s'mores flavored goldfish, which is, if you've never had them, they taste better than this game was.
S'mores flavored goldfish.
Sounds
like if you
took
little
Lucky Charms marshmallows in them. They're delicious.
That sounds like if you took this. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Doesn't sound great.
If you took this game and threw it into a blender and that's what
would come out
and made it into like a smoothie, and then you poured it into like little tiny goldfish sized like a
molds.
Yes, thank you, Wilson. And then you baked them. That seems like what you would get. I bet there's no way that's good.
Are those treats for your daughter, or those are strictly in the John Breech cabinet?
Well, she likes them now. She used to not like them, and a couple weeks ago she saw me eating one. She tried one. And now it's all over. But my daughter is on fall break right now. She's at the beach, so I don't have to share them. Eating them all right now.
Victor Garcia correctly states that sounds like a sociopath type of snack.
Let me ask Breech another question.
Asked, when does flex scheduling start so we never have to see the Broncos again?
Thursday night does not have flex scheduling, I believe.
I have bad news for you. The Broncos are on Monday Night Football next week. And
no kidding, man. That is perfect.
And do you know? Are you aware? I'm sure you are because everyone's talking about
it. But to answer that question, it does start in week 5, but is only for Sunday night.
You can't flex,
right? You don't.
In case
are you aware of what the Thursday night game in week 6 is? I'm sure you
don't say it, please.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Washington, the Danny Snyder's fabulous football team at the Chicago Bears.
Oh my
God. Breech, you are easily the most positive person on this podcast by billions of light years. Give me 3 positives from this.
I have one
piece of crap we watched tonight. Let Breech go and see if you can add a 4th.
First, Colts special teams put on a clinic. Matt Hawk, 3 punts down inside the 15. Chase McLaughlin, 2 field goals longer than 50 yards. And they blocked a field goal, which obviously ended up being huge because they won by 3 points. That is a pretty solid. Well, the whole time, by the time we got to the 3rd quarter, I was like, we have nothing to talk about on the podcast. I'm going to come up with some special team stuff. I guess all we got going for us.
It is fitting that your Super Bowl winner can only kick field goals.
Oh, we missed.
I was waiting for that. I thought it was
all right. That's one. What else you got?
Matt Ryan coming alive in the 4th quarter. He looked absolutely horrible. As Ryan would say, he looked like dog doo-doo.
Mm-hmm.
And then he actually made a few plays. I mean, it wasn't like overly impressive, but he led an 87-yard drive to give him in field goal range to tie it. And then obviously the OT field goals helped set that up.
All right, one more. Yeah, boo that.
God, Billy's already done more work in like 2 weeks than Debo did in like 10
Debo and you combined in 5 years.
Obviously, me.
Do you have a 3rd one, Breech, or do you want Brinson to help you out with the 3rd one?
Brinson, do you have a 3rd one?
Actually, it can go 3 and 4.
Where do you got?
Number 3, I will say Alec Pierce really kind of flashed in this game and made some big plays. And like that, the Colts really need a number 2 wide receiver next to Michael Pittman to develop. Now, I'm not saying that it'll make them great this year or anything.
Hey, it's something. It counts. Absolutely.
And number 4, no touchdown scored. Bang, bang.
Is that a score?
I heard somebody bet that prop. Is that true?
Did you see that Ravel tweet? Someone at DraftKings Sportsbook put
No,
$100
I didn't. I did not see the Ravel tweet.
Bet 1,000?
$100 on 100 to 1. They won 10 grand on no touchdown scored. Imagine sweating that final pass by Russ.
Brinson, I think I read a tweet that someone bet $1,000 on that prop and won 100 grand.
I read that someone bet $1 million.
Well, let me.
I heard somebody bet $17 trillion.
Yeah, top that one, Breech.
Yeah, Ben Fox tweeted that out.
Wow.
$1,000 bet was made, and somebody won $100,000 because no touchdowns.
I have one more positive. Melvin Gordon didn't fumble, although he tried to early in the game.
Well, he did try. He tried late too, honestly.
So, other than that,
Ben Fox? I think it's Ben Fox.
Did
I honestly didn't want to come out sounding like a cuss word, so I actually switched.
All right, okay, enough. So let's get through this without talking about people we don't know in real life. Did Nathaniel Hackett do a Nathaniel Hackett job? Did he do a better job? Did he do a worse job? Because that last play on fourth down, you almost felt like a tie wasn't like kissing your sister. It was, in fact, a victory, given how everything transpired before.
Are we going to change the phrase hack job to Hackett job?
Yeah.
Or Hackett job to Hackett job?
We should. Well, you know what? I think before we talk about Hackett, let's just talk about 4th and 1 or 4th and goal. 4th and 1 at the 5-yard line. Broncos could have kicked the field goal in overtime, kept the game going.
No, that would have been a tie.
They decided to go for it.
Hold on, stop though. Stop.
Did you make the right decision?
If they kick the field goal, it's a tie. I think there's like 2.5, 3 minutes left. Almost certainly a tie. So you're selling
2.5 minutes, but 2-minute warning. Both teams had one timeout left.
Did you see the previous 55 minutes of that game?
Right, but if you kick it to Indy and they punt, go 3 and out like they did on half their possessions, you're going to get the ball back out.
So what would you have done there? I thought you had a definitive answer.
I don't think there's a definitive answer. Like, I don't hate Hackett for going for it, but when your offense is so inept, and it has been so inept for 4 weeks, and it was so inept in that game, I am thinking, you know what, let's extend this and let me get my better unit on the field, which is my defense. So in that sense, you know, if I had Patrick Mahomes, I'd go for it there, and I don't think
they had Russell Wilson.
They have 2022 Russell Wilson.
I think, but one of the problems too is that in addition to the game management criticisms we've heard of Nathaniel Hackett and warranted.
I don't know if he did a bad job this game, but go ahead.
No, but I'm saying the other criticism of Nathaniel Hackett has been that in 2 games so far this season, after trading a bunch of picks and players for Russell Wilson and then signing him to a monster contract, he has not been willing to put the ball in Russ's hands to win the game. And I think in this spot, it was like, if I do it again and I don't let Russ try to win the game, like, I mean, am I getting fired in week 6?
It was 4th
but
and
Brinson,
1.
that feels like the problem though, is that he literally had 4 weeks of criticism built up, and you think he was thinking that in his head. All right, I cannot take the ball to Russell's hand.
Wait a second,
or I'm in trouble.
Also, so the Colts immediately called timeout, or they called timeout after Russ is up there barking at the line. Sorry, not immediately, but
third down play.
Fourth down, the Colts called timeout.
Third down, Melvin gets stuffed. They rush to the line on 4th down, and it was one of those rush to the lines where you're like, okay, they're clearly not going for it. So Frank Reich calls timeout, which is I'm fine. And then they come back out there, and we're watching them again. And again, Russ is just, messing around at the line of scrimmage. And then Nathaniel Hackett calls timeout again. Now, I don't mind giving it to Russ, whether it was intentional or otherwise. But as you noted, Brinson, Richard Sherman was yelling, it's 4th and 1. Why don't you run the ball? You have Russ Wilson. You don't have Matt Ryan back there. Why would you throw the ball in the end zone?
Here's I think I can make this happen. Let's see if this will work. Here's Richard Sherman.
You got to run the ball again. Like I wish I had Marshawn up here. Like 1 yard. You need 1 yard. Run the ball. Run the ball. And CT, all he has to do is run the football. Like necessary criticism. I'm not. I've said enough criticism for him, but God dang it, run the dang ball.
Credit to Richard Sherman for not cursing there because I know he wanted to.
You say God dang? I thought he cussed it first. Yeah.
I said God dang it. Run the dang ball.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Give the ball to Melvin's the new. Give it to Marshawn.
Or hey, how about Russ Wilson? He can run.
Or how about you bootleg him? Like that's the thing is like you go back
when you need 1 yard to get like Rich. When you need 1 yard, you don't need to get the end zone.
Well, right. And so like I don't mind that you go for it, or I don't mind either decision whether you kick or you go for it.
Yeah, I didn't care at that point either. I was praying for the asteroid.
My issue, and this is always my issue with going for it and the discussion of the analytical stuff, is that if your play call sucks, you shouldn't go for it. And when you have 4th and 1 and you need to get a yard to get a first down, extend the game and give yourself, because what were they on? The
5.
The 5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you're going to have 3 or 4 plays inside the 5-yard line.
Or 1.
What do you mean? Or like if
you throw the ball into the end zone and it goes incomplete.
Right. No, I'm saying like but your play call there has to be something better than Russell Wilson standing still. Like Russell Wilson is a mobile, like elusive quarterback who creates problems for defenses when he gets on the move. And I'm not saying you should cut off half the field and bootleg him, but at least like do play action. If you're going to run out of shotgun, do play action to Gordon and then boot Russ to the right and do like some flood action there. And you're at least going to get a look and you're going to like eliminate half of the defense. So the play call itself, they were going for the touchdown. They're going for the win. They're going to try to like that. That in and of itself is problematic from a coaching perspective because it indicates that Nathaniel Hackett didn't really understand that while everything was on the line on 4th down, he still could get a first down. Like if you bootleg Russ out the backside there, you run like a play action to the right with Gordon and bootleg Russ on the backside, he is waltzing to a first down.
You just said don't bootleg him. What do you want?
Do bootleg him.
2 minutes ago,
move Russell.
You're Nathaniel Hackett of this podcast.
What?
So you're the Nathaniel Hackett of this podcast. You can't make your mind.
I said bootleg and move him around. Like you drop him straight back and have him. Like,
you said don't cut the field in half. I think is what you said.
I said you don't want to cut the field in half, but moving Russell is a good idea because of what his skill set is.
Kyler Murray would have run around for 25 seconds, kept that play alive, and probably gotten the first down.
Breech, what do you think of this theory? Nathaniel Hackett is actually Sean McVay, but Russ Wilson is actually Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, it's not a crazy theory. I've heard crazier.
Imagine that. If I said that 3 months ago, you'd have thought I was.
Ooh, interesting. The chat,
drugs.
Posmu and Jen Sylvius point out that the post-game show, we didn't hear this, so we don't know. Made it sound like Russell made the call. And I don't know if they're talking about did Russ make the call to go on 4th or the play call itself. If it's the play call itself, that goes back to what I've been saying about the Broncos all along, is that there is a fundamental issue in how the plays are getting from Hackett into the rest of the team, and it's being filtered.
I don't think it's strictly a Broncos thing. I think it, based on hindsight and how the Seahawks are having a lot of success with a lesser quarterback by just about every measure, might be a Russ Wilson thing. Knowing nothing of the inner workings of either organization, offensive game planning during the week, just based on what I'm seeing on Sundays and now Thursdays, Russ may be the problem.
KJ Hamler after the game, I could have walked in, direct quote.
Yeah, if you're looking on social media, there's pictures all over Twitter.
I mean, that's kind of the receiver throwing your QB under the bus there, right?
Well,
kind of.
KJ is
absolutely backed it up and ran it back over him.
Well, KJ is
so. And if you watch the play, if anybody watches the replay, KJ Hamler is on the right and he kind of slanted in, and the Broncos had another guy running an out route, and it was kind of designed as a pick play, but they ran the routes without picking the Colts defenders, but it still opened up the lane for KJ Hamler, and he was just in that alley on that. It was just wide open. I mean, it was, and Russell Wilson wasn't even looking his way.
Like I said, Mr. Trubisky.
Mitch.
Would you think about benching Russ Wilson for Brett Rippon?
Stop it.
They scored 9 points. You're talking about stopping it.
I mean, they just gave Russell Wilson a $245 million contract.
How long do you stick with him?
Bench him for Brett Rippon. I
He
mean,
had 2 years left on his deal. There was like, it is weird that they gave it to him. Like, why not just wait a year? Just make sure you know what you have. Like test out the goods first. They didn't have to be.
I understand what you're saying, Ryan, and I don't disagree with the concept.
I mean, I'm half kidding, but I'm not. I'm also half serious.
Right. I mean, you can't actually bench him. I mean,
but wait, he plays out this year, but if he comes bringing that nonsense next year, and you're 0-3, or even 2-1, and you're scoring 9 points a game, you got to have some tough conversations, right?
Well, I mean, the conversation is, oh God, I've made a huge tiny mistake.
What does that mean?
You're just screwed, man. Like, you gave Russell Wilson a ton of money and he's not good anymore. That's where we, and it's week 5. It's early.
No.
time to get it.
Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear the scenario that I laid out? You
What?
stay the rest of the season with them, no matter what happens. You go into next year. If that team looks like this team, you have to bench them after 3 weeks. I feel like.
I mean, I think that there are. I don't. I mean, you're just not benching Russell Wilson. You gave up
Okay.
tons of picks for him. And
Well,
paid him a
then
ton of
they
money.
better get used to this. The fans better get used to booing at halftime and leaving. As Breech tweeted out, they said Breech tweeted out, you could either stay for overtime or go sit in the parking lot in traffic. And Broncos fans opted for traffic. I mean, that tells you all you need to know.
That's insane.
And this
Think
new
of
ownership,
paying $100 to get into a game and being like, you know,
$100. I guarantee you, there probably weren't many $100 tickets.
I don't even want to watch overtime. I'm so disgusted right now. I would rather sit in my car and sulk
And yell
while
at the
trying
cars
to
in
leave
front
the
of me.
stadium, probably holding a pee, rather than sit in my seat and watch my team maybe win.
Yes.
Was Hamler on the? I'm trying to watch the replay. I can't.
I put the clip in or the screenshot. He's on the right. He's wide ass open. He doesn't throw it to him.
But he's not even looking.
He's not even looking at him.
So I feel like his first read was the guy who kind of tripped on the route, who was, I don't know if you saw that coming across. And Russ just looked a little confused for the first second of that play. Like, where's my guy?
Again, just run the ball. Problem solved. I don't have any issue going for it. I wouldn't have cared if they kicked. But while Brinson looks that up, let me ask you about this, Breech.
I don't know that that's.
All right. Well, just let me finish this thought, and you
Okay.
collect your thoughts on that. Third play of the game, Nyheim Hines gets the. Actually, he didn't even get the crap knocked out of him. Nyheim Hines. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see KJ Hamler there. He's on the right side of that big circle, and that 40 yards in front of him where no one's there. That's where he wanted the ball. But the third play of the game, Nyheim Hines gets concussed, wobbles. Did you think there was any chance that he was going to come back in the game? Because I was not 100% sure he was going to be done.
If the Tua stuff doesn't happen last week, I would say there's a 70% chance he goes back in. But after the Tua stuff, it was 0%. I mean,
And they
we
did
saw
change
him
the rule
wobbling.
for gross motor inability. Is that the phrase? Which basically means once you stumble, that's a wrap. So I was glad they were able to stick to that. But I was like, oh my God, if they bring
Gross
him back,
motor instability.
if they bring him back in this game. So they got it right. They did change the rule after the Tua thing. So that's good. The thing is, and this is something I was thinking about.
Sure.
Just quickly, Nyheim Hines, the hit he took, it looked like a hit you see a million times.
It's pretty innocuous.
Exactly. You see it every Saturday and every Sunday. And he looked to be, as Richard Sherman noted, out for a beat or two. So that's happening all the time. And these guys are going back and forth into the game. So that was good to see. Hopefully it stays. We'll see if the rules get lax.
So Hines took the hit and he was laying on the ground for a little bit, and then his teammates came and picked him up and he got wobbly, like almost identical to how Tua looked. And I'll say this, that if this happens 2 weeks ago, Nyheim Hines comes back and plays in that game.
Mr. Breech just said.
Okay, I didn't hear that. I was trying to watch the
Breech even said last week.
So the screenshot that's up right now of the final play, I just want to like.
What are you going to defend? How are you going to defend?
I'm not defending anything. The problem is Russ is looking left. And he's not looking off the safety. We know that because he never comes back to eventually comes back to that side of the field, but he waits. He's waiting for the guy on the I assume it's Sutton who's clearing on the top there. There is a defender right on Hamler's backside, which you don't see from that.
Who cares?
Okay, just listen. If the problem is that Hamler is not the initial read, like he needs to be.
Okay.
Russ is not looking off the safety and getting ready to fire into Hamler, right?
Fair enough. And look, you're right. There are plenty of plays where there are guys that run wide ass open and they are not in the progression. Fair enough. But again,
because you got the defender, you can see it. The defender is following Russ's eyes to the left. If the play is correctly designed and if Russ is in tune with the offense, he is immediately turning and firing to the right on the inside, and Hamler's scoring and they win the game. But that's not what happened.
I thought you just said that you don't think KJ is necessarily part of the progression.
But also the other issue here is you can see the other Broncos receiver at the edge of this red circle. Those Hamler and that guy are the only two who are not in the end zone. Everyone else's route went into the end zone. You need 1 yard. You don't need 3 guys in the end zone. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't make sense.
Why do you not have like a Texas route with a running back or like a short crosser from one of the 4 receivers you have out there where
Wait a second.
if the end zone is not open, you get a dump off, get the first down?
Why are you designing Texas routes when KJ Hamler is wide open? Why are you complicating it?
Because the first and look, we don't know this because we weren't in the play call, but we have to assume he wasn't the first read because he's not looking to him immediately. He ends up going in that direction, but the way that they designed this particular play created too much traffic with the receivers in the back of the end zone after he missed Hamler.
After he missed Hamler, he never looked at Hamler. I don't understand what you're talking
about. That's the problem with the play call.
Brinson's saying after his eyes missed him because he never saw him open.
But if you're designing a rub route to get KJ Hamler open underneath,
his first look is to the left and Hamler's on the right, then
that's a bad play design.
Okay, let me stop you there. If this is Bailey Zappi or Brett Rippon or Kenny Pickett, I will give you that. The moment's too big for you. This is just the guy we talked about that we can't bench no matter what. We just gave him that big ass new contract, and he can't go through his reads with he's not pressured. He can't get across the formation and throw a slant, and you're making excuses. They need to run another route on the other side of the formation.
Excuses. I'm saying I'm not making excuses for anybody. I'm saying that someone is clearly at fault here.
Yeah, number 3. It's pretty simple.
But look, was the play designed for him to look left and find
that? We don't know, and that's a fair point. And we talked about earlier, just run the ball, your problem solved. But presumably, when a play is called that's a passing play, Russ knows where everyone's supposed to be out in their routes. Now, sometimes there are pass plays where you're only worried about one side of the field. Yeah, we know all that. But if that was the play called, then that's on Nathaniel Hackett. But you just mentioned that Russ potentially changed the play. Didn't you just say that?
We don't know. We don't know. That's part of the problem with the Broncos. We don't know who's calling
someone just said that. Didn't someone just say that on the podcast?
I said that I think somebody in the chat said that in the post game, Russell Wilson called the play. I haven't heard it myself, so I'm not going to pretend that I know that's true. I do think Russell probably has trump power over the head coach in terms of
secondary. Make the Broncos great again. You're failing, Russ.
Look where Russell is looking at the defender. I can't tell if that's 25 or 35 in the back. But the point is like he at no point is looking at KJ Hamler, which is a problem with the play design.
This is a screenshot. We don't have. Do you have a look? If you have the actual play, that's one thing. We can't tell anything from a screenshot other than KJ's.
You can tell something pretty clearly by the one Breech sent. There's 3 defenders covering 2 guys on the left side of the ball. If he is trying to look it off and go to Hamler to the right, he waited way, way, way too long to do it.
Okay. I mean, I don't know why that would be.
And what I'm saying is I don't know if the play design has 2. Are there 2 reads to the left that he has to go through, 2 progressions to the left that he has to go through before he looks right? Because if that's the case, that's a bad play design and poor execution and poor harmony in part on the head coach / play designer / quarterback.
Here's the thing. We can blame whoever we want to blame. This team sucks. This offense sucks. Russ Wilson sucks. Nathaniel Hackett, based on what we've seen with the players around him, suck. I mean, there's no other way. There's a reason that people were fighting to get out of that stadium before overtime started. It was an absolute train wreck. If you're watching on YouTube, there's the other screenshot Brinson was just talking about where Russ is looking left and
he does in the video. Man, golly.
What's that?
In the when you watch it on when you watch the TV version of the play, there's a defender that looks like he's right on Hamler, and there's just nobody near Hamler.
So yeah, I mean, I don't care who you blame. You can blame whoever you like. It's there are enough fingers to go around if you want to point at someone.
I'm not trying to make excuses for Russ. No,
that's fine. I didn't take it that way. It doesn't matter to me. I think that everything Breech went over the positives, the special teams, and that's it. And I think it was the Colts special teams too, because McManus had a kick blocked.
How relieved do you think Matt Ryan is that because the Colts won, nobody's going to be talking about the fact that he was just absolutely atrocious again with 2 interceptions. He fumbled twice. He already leads the NFL in fumbles. He didn't lose either of them, but he just keeps fumbling. And you know what's funny is that, I mean, as bad as Matt Ryan was, is that Russell Wilson was somehow worse. And we're talking about this overtime play, and we spent so much time talking about it that we didn't even bring up the fact that The Broncos had the ball at the Colts 13-yard line with 2 minutes left. All you need is a field goal to go up.
We didn't even talk about that. Go
Go
ahead.
up 12-6. You have a chip shot field goal, do whatever. And Russell Wilson just throws the absolutely most atrocious interception that you will ever see. I mean, that was worse than this. That was worse. I can't believe he made that throw. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that's right. We somehow skipped over that because, we've been stuck on this last play call where there any number of fingers to point blame at. The last interception before the end of regulation is 100% on Russ Wilson. He threw it behind the receiver. I don't know who the receiver was, but Steph Gilmore made the play on a pass.
Russ had two really bad picks in this game.
Yeah, and again, overshadowing the Matt Ryan interceptions, which are also equally dog dookie-ish. But the interception that he threw to Steph Gilmore in the end zone looked like it was intended for Steph Gilmore off the snap. Again, why aren't you running the ball? That's an idiotic decision from Nathaniel Hackett and/or Russ Wilson, whoever was in charge of that.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this game. And I will ask Ryan a question about time travel next.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you went to 2019.
I'm drafting Geno Smith.
No, you're like, hey, FYI, in a couple of years after Donald Trump loses his reelection bid, and we get almost through a global pandemic, Geno Smith is better than Russell Wilson. And people would be like people would just gloss over the first two items and be like, I'm sorry, wait, what did you say? Geno Smith is better than Russell Wilson?
Did Russ lose his legs in a car accident?
This global pandemic thing. Did you what about Geno and Russ? I mean, Geno's just better than Russ right now. It's crazy.
Well, there was inklings of that after the week 1 showdown where Pete Carroll passive aggressively trolled the crap out of Russ in that game. They went out and got an offensive line. The running game works. Geno's just working within the offense.
Don't get mad about it.
Huh?
No, it's comment.
Oh,
get mad about something.
And then Russ has been terrible. Russ is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of productivity right now. Like I was only half joking about the Mr. Trubisky thing. What's the difference between those two?
Wilson, if you're the Broncos, would you rather have Russell Wilson or Andy Dalton?
Andy Dalton. Look, I'm not even joking.
I mean, I'm not going to – I don't know.
I'll say it again.
Let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this. If you're watching this game on a black and white television and you can't tell Russ from Matt Ryan from Andy Dalton, all you know is number 3 stinks. Like he's probably been playing football for about 3 weeks. He has no idea what he's doing. He's making a lot of terrible decisions, and he probably makes better the minimum salary that you would pay a professional athlete. All those things would be wrong.
Let me ask you this. Let's pretend we've got a pie chart, all right?
Make the pie higher.
We have to divvy up the blame for Russell Wilson's performance.
Over the last month or just tonight?
Just in general.
Okay.
Over the last month.
Okay.
The biggest ones I'm thinking are new coach, new scheme, injury, Russ is washed.
What injury?
Add in whatever you want, and like what percentage do you assign these various issues?
Russ is 65%. And I say that
I'm saying, so you got 100%. You got to fill out the percentages.
No, 65. I'm giving it Russ, so we can sort out the rest later.
No, not blaming on Russ. I'm saying why Russ? Like Russ is washed. Like this is the end.
Oh, so that it might be Russ question mark, and the question mark would be, I wonder how much this has to do with why the Seahawks tried to trade him a few times, and why they finally said we can't take it anymore. We're getting rid of you, and things have gotten better in Seattle. Now, Seattle isn't a playoff team necessarily, but they seem to be playing better. I mean, coming into the season,
I would feel better about the Seahawks making the playoffs than the Broncos right now.
No, but coming into the season, like, okay, the Seahawks probably aren't going to be very good, but they're out playing what we expected. So I wonder about that. I wonder if, you've talked about this with Brady. I wonder if Russ's fingers ever going to be 100%, whether that's a concern or not. And
his right shoulder was banged up coming into this game. Like we didn't know he would definitely play.
So I'm going to go with the sort of prima donna / diva angle affecting. Because the whole thing, I asked Brady this.
Give me your percentages.
I just told you 65. I don't know exactly within that 65 what
so
parts.
The other 35 is like Hackett / Broncos.
Yeah, but I'll say one more thing about Russ. Yeah. And I asked Brady this on the Brady Quinn Football Show when you were on your golf trip a couple weeks ago. Did you guys see the clip where Russ a few weeks ago was on the sidelines imploring these practice squad players to yell out,
run or pass.
and I asked Brady, how realistic is that? And Brady very politely said, that's idiotic. He didn't say it in those terms. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, there's no reason to do that because, number one, you're in a stadium with 80,000 people. Who's going to hear it? And it's just one of those rah-rah things. You're like, dude, sit down and focus on making the offense not suck. Don't worry about telling people what to do. It's not your job.
I'm so glad Russell Wilson went to Wisconsin.
Yeah, right.
I texted that to some friends. I was like, man, God, thank God this guy went.
But I wonder if that's wearing on people. We know about the whole story with Richard Sherman.
That kind of shtick wears on you if you're not winning. I mean,
Exactly.
it's one of those things like, I'm going to put up with it because he's getting us to Super Bowls and we're making the playoffs. But I could imagine it starts rubbing you the wrong way. Like you can't show up with a chipper attitude all the time. You can't go in the locker room after this game and say, guys, we're going to get 5% better every day until next Monday we play the Chargers because that's what we got to do and we got to win. Let's ride. So, like your teammates just look at you like you're an idiot. Like, dude, we just lost this improbable game that was mostly your fault. And you can't come in here and just act like, hey, let's move on. I'm so positive. I never have a negative moment. Like they probably don't want to see Russell Wilson that positive all the time.
So what's your pie chart breakdown?
Me or Breech?
Either. Both.
I'm going to go 45%. No, 35% Russ is washed.
Just 35.
I don't want to go high. Just like he's just like it's just over. I'm going to do another 25%. So that gets me to 60%. Russ is injured. So like I'm like I think it's a Russ thing. I'm going to do another 25% on the play calling mechanism between Russ and Nathaniel Hackett because I should be probably higher on that. I think that's one of the biggest problems. And then I'm going to put another. I think I have like 10% left on just Hackett.
Dharmesh Patel in the comments notes: Jared Goff has thrown more touchdowns in a game than Russ has all season.
That's wild.
I don't know if that's true, but I'm just going to assume it is.
It's just like it's like when Breech says something about geography or like travel. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but it sounds great. And Breech is the only person who research that.
Sure, Seoul is in Canada, Breech, if you say so. Breech, you want to do the breakdown game, or you just want to?
My breakdown is.
By the way, put your pie chart, your pie charts in the chat if you got them, and smash the like button.
Is this just for this game or the whole season?
Well, your choice. Dealer's choice.
The Broncos are your Super Bowl champion, the Denver Broncos.
Yikes!
Okay. In that case,
are 2-3. They look like ass cheeks.
I'm putting 95% of it. 95% of it on Hackett and Wilson together as like a two-headed dragon.
You can.
I actually don't hate.
They coexist together. You have
what could possibly be the other 5%?
A blocked field goal on special teams, dumb mistake, Melvin Gordon fumbling, dumb stuff like that.
Fair enough.
Those are things that are not. Melvin Gordon losing
poorly coached team.
Melvin Gordon losing two key fumbles that probably cost the Broncos wins does not make Nathaniel Hackett a bad coach.
I don't know how closely you guys are listening, but I don't know if you caught Kurt Herbstreit about midway through the second half going, someone has to win this game. And then the stark realization that Al Michael's like, nah, it could be a tie. He's like,
and then at one point, and Herbie's like, I mean, I bet you've never called a 9-9 game before. And Al's like, buddy, I had a 6-6 game that ended in a tie. Like, you think this is rough?
Oh man, they tried their best to put it.
And the 6-6 game also involved Russell Wilson. That's the best part.
It did. Yeah, it was crazy.
All right. Broncos aren't going to the playoffs, right? There's no way, shape, or form.
I wouldn't want to be holding a Broncos win the Super Bowl prediction right now.
What kind of idiot would do something like that? You guys want?
I'm not writing him off yet. I'm not writing him off.
Oh, we missed.
Do you guys want to hear a fun fact?
Yeah.
3 losses by an average of 3.3 points per game.
They average 3.3 points a game.
That's true also. So they lose 3.3-0.
So if they had tied this game, the Broncos would have been 1-2-2. But do you know how that would have been interpreted?
2-2-2. 2-2-1.
2-3. Because you get a half loss, half win for each. So
the Colts would have been.
Colts, yep.
Yeah.
So they'd have been 2-3 in the standings, even though they were technically 1-2-2.
Wait.
Because you get a half a point for a win.
Wait, do you know that Indianapolis right now is the 7th seed in the playoffs in the AFC? What?
No, that's
so they would have been 1-2-2.
Right.
And they would be
2 and 3 in the eyes of the standings.
You got to have a loss for each tie.
Yeah, according to our
You're not
buddy
gonna have
Michael
a win.
David. Yeah, you get
Oh,
both.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's via our buddy Michael David Smith at PFT. So
It is interesting. 3 AFC South teams are in the playoffs right now as we speak,
your Jacksonville Jaguars are number 1.
and 3 NFC North teams.
We're the Steelers.
I mean, NFC East team. Excuse me. The Steelers are actually 15th in the
Jeez,
standings.
it's only 16.
they're-
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
They are ahead of one team, the winless Houston Texans.
My favorite part of this game so far is all the random, very below average NFL and former NFL quarterbacks that have come on Twitter to tweet stuff. Matt Flynn has been tweeting. Ben DiNucci has been tweeting.
Dragging
You
this.
just have all these guys like, oh, I could be better than this. Maybe I could still play. And it's kind of hilarious.
Who was the first guy you met? Oh, Matt Flynn. What's Matt Flynn up to?
Tweeting.
Tweeting about this game, I guess.
Tweet about Russell Wilson who beat him for a job in
He
2012.
got that $50 million contract in 2012. He set for like
I think he got like 12 million out of that. But still.
whatever. He still set. For that.
Joke's on us.
Okay,
I always get scared with that music.
I love when Brinson does.
oh no, it's like a Go Tar Heels thing. Oh no. Does Billy have like these? Are these videos loaded up? Can I load up videos of my roadcast?
No, you cannot.
Go Tar Heels.
It's great news, by the way. Matt Ryan said in his post-game press conference. If you had to guess one sentence that Matt Ryan should utter in the post-game press conference, what do you think it would be?
We effing sucked.
That's a good one. Breech.
I'm retiring.
That's also a
He
good one.
looks like dog bleep.
He actually said, I think our best football is in front of us.
I did actually see him say that.
Some media member should have said, I'm calling BS on that, Matt Ryan. Your best football is clearly well behind you.
Yeah.
And as John Breech has suggested, you need to call it quits ASAP, my man. Best
I do think though that like I said, the Colts are 2-2-1. They have no business being 2-2-1. But that division, like, I mean,
No, they're a terrible football.
As
team.
Breech, what was the record with Frank Reich's teams in the first 5 weeks of the season versus like week 6 on?
9-14-1. Now 10-14-1 for weeks.
Dude, the Colts could rip off some.
Hold on.
That's weeks 1 through 5, and then week 6 through 18. He is 29-16. So he is reverse Cliff Kingsbury.
Right, but let me ask you this: how is this team, as currently constituted, are they going to trade for Devontae Adams? Are they trading for Aaron Donald? Like, how is this team going to get better? Is my
They
point.
Carson Wentz last
That's
year.
unlikely that either of those two things happen.
Well, you're talking about there's a path, is what you were about to say, and I'm saying
Jaguars
this
at
team
home after
Lost.
with a 10-day break.
lost.
Wait, just real quick. They started off 0-3 last year. It looked totally inept with Carson Wentz. Everybody was saying, "Ha, jokes on them trading for Carson Wentz."
Did they
and
go to the
then-
playoffs?
And then
No.
at week 15, they had a 9-6 record. They ran off. They went 9-3 their next 12 games.
Did they go to the playoffs?
But also, like, let's look at it too. Remember,
They did not.
the slow starts for the Colts. They've had a new quarterback under center every year for the last 5 years, who like
Okay,
came from a
listen.
different place.
You guys can hit your wagon to this Thelma and Louise Mobile if you want to. That's on you.
Jaguars at home, at
Loss.
Titans.
Loss.
Commanders at home, at Patriots, at Raiders.
That's one win in what's that? 5 games?
I think we're gonna do something weird like 3-2, and we're gonna be
I
talking about
guarantee
And remember, the Colts won this without Jonathan Taylor, without Shaquille Leonard,
without Naheem
with-
Hines.
without Naheem Hines.
They did not win this game. Russ Wilson gifted them this game.
I'm looking
5
at
different
standings
ways.
right now, Ryan. They have a W.
Oh, you guys are crazy.
You just
This
don't
is
want to
the-
admit the Colts can win the Super Bowl. I'm
What,
jumping off the Broncos game onto the Colts bandwagon.
Let me read you this tweet from our buddy Pete Prisco, who is has a history of jumping on or kicking people when they're down. And he asks on Twitter a short time ago, what if Russ Wilson never had that top ranked scoring defense for 4 years and Marshawn Lynch? Just asking.
That's very Prisco of him.
Would Russ is Russ just a product of the players around him? I don't think so. I think Russ was actually good for a long stretch. Starting, it ended when he hurt his thumb or finger last year, and it appears to be going to follow him for the rest of his NFL career. But I don't think he was a product of Seattle's system.
Russell Wilson's going to the Hall of Fame.
Oh God! Before or after Matt Stafford, if they retired at the same time?
Russell Wilson's definitely going to the Hall of Fame.
I don't know that.
Child, please.
That's a weird take. I think Russ is a lock to the Hall of Fame.
You think everyone's going to the Hall of Fame? The Breach.
Let's look on Prisco's thing. Let's not forget that Pete Prisco ripped Russell Wilson constantly. For
Peace away
5 or
10
6
years for this day.
He finally came around to Russ. Russ shows up in Atlanta at the Super Bowl, and Pete like kind of kissed his ass. I was like, oh, I ripped you for a little while, and I've been like, I think you really learned how to play from the pocket. And Russ was like, who? I'm sorry, who are you? Can you get me a water? And Pete was like, and now that Russ is like struggling, Pete's like going on full attack mode. So no surprise.
He's gloating.
Yeah.
Breech, is Russ Wilson a Hall of Famer?
I can't believe
he's hesitating. Thank you. And Breech is positive.
I mean, I would lean yes, but I don't think it's a lock.
Not a slam dunk. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
it's a lock.
That's not.
You think everyone's a lock. That's the problem, though.
You just don't have any.
You think Cooper Cup? You think Cooper Cup's a Hall of Famer?
Brinson, who gets the Hall of Fame first, Russell Wilson or Matthew Stafford?
If they retire at the same time,
retires first.
They retired the same year, 2023.
In fact, they hold a joint press conference to retire together. Exact same moment.
Probably Russ.
So neither's getting in, is what you're saying. Okay, that makes you feel better.
Russell's an easy Hall of Famer.
No, it's not.
Okay.
He's a lock. He's a lock. He's a lock to be a Hall of Famer.
Billy's got so mad about it.
He's a lock. Like, let's not do that. He's a lock. Stop.
Billy was 12 when Russ came into the league. What does Billy know?
He's a lock.
Now
He's a lock.
Billy's been watching football for 2 weeks and suddenly he knows what Russ Wilson's up to. Get out of here, Billy. Billy's scrambling to find a button to hit me
Super Bowl
with.
winning quarterbacks just
Personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
There it is. There it is.
Super Bowl winning quarterbacks just get in the Hall of Fame. That's how it works.
Oh, Joe Flacco's a Hall of Famer?
Oh, play the dunk button. Play the dunk button. Hurry, play it now.
It's happening here.
That's right.
Not every Super Bowl winning quarterback gets
Oh,
in.
I didn't hear that first part. Okay,
Oh
gotcha.
my God.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Quentin Nelson after the
you
game.
need to go get some Mallrats clips for this podcast.
Do
But
you
the
know-
thing is, the thing
Next
about
one,
Russell
next.
Wilson is he might not end where the other quarterbacks of this era end. I mean, Matt
think it's gonna
Ryan
work?
is probably going to end with more career touchdown passes than Russell Wilson.
Is
And
Matt Ryan a
you
Hall of
look at
Famer?
passing yards, and you look at when you compare him to other quarterbacks of his era, his stats aren't as glamorous.
Breech, is Matt Ryan a Hall of Famer?
He's very close.
It's also an interesting case.
Right.
It's-
It's not a slam dunk. That's all I'm saying.
Philip Rivers and Matthew Ryan are
You knew them when they were younger.
yeah. Well, they don't have Super Bowl wins.
Well, the thing is, though, Matt Ryan has an MVP, so he had an MVP level season, and as we all know, Russell Wilson's never even got an MVP vote. So no one has thought at any point that he even was
Stop it.
close to being the
He's
best
not
player in the
lying.
NFL at any point in any season.
He's telling the truth.
Erroneous. Get that. Download that one, Billy. You need to go watch some Wedding Crash.
Is there a actually, by the way,
It just got on Netflix. Wedding Crash is great.
Showtime has Mallrats. I just watched it. I literally watched it the other night for the first time in 20 years.
Oh, you know what? Amazon just added.
I don't want to tell you, but I watch on Amazon.
We don't own Amazon. We own Showtime.
You didn't.
Yeah, but we just
How
watched
did you watch the
Amazon
game tonight?
Thursday Night Football.
I streamed it through Showtime. You didn't do that? Ooh,
Did you not watch the game?
interesting. Of course,
Did
I
you,
watched
did
the
you
game.
watch a pirated stream?
Yeah, can you imagine? Can you imagine pirating that stream, going to jail for that?
Yeah, take them to jail. I'm countersuing. What was it? The Amazon just got every single Bond movie, which is kind of cool. And they were mentioning it on the telecast, and Herb Street was like, what's your favorite? Who's your favorite Bond? And Al Michaels like, come on, man.
Sean.
Obviously, yes. Everyone.
If Russell Wilson was a James Bond actor, who would he be?
Roger
George-
Moore.
George Lazenby?
No, dude, Timothy Dalton.
Oh, good call,
Timothy
Breech.
Dalton. Did you say
No. Roger Moore is way worse than Timothy Dalton.
what? No, Roger Moore's better than Timothy Dalton.
Not in my eyes. I'm a
Didn't Timothy Dalton just did one?
perhaps. So did the guy that Breech mentioned, the Australian guy who sort of fell into the job. I think he was Australian, wasn't
Lazenby?
he?
George Lazenby.
I will say that I've come around on Daniel Craig a lot. In
What do
terms
you mean you come around? He was
Yeah.
the second best Bond.
I agree
Oh,
with
he is
that.
the second best Bond.
Where'd you go? Like, why were
I
you?
went
in
there.
Starting with his first movie. He jumped right up.
It's a lot like the Dark Knight Returns,
Here we go.
Dark
Forget it.
Knight stuff, where it's no. We're gonna drag this podcast out. So Billy's like, this podcast be.
Really, just gonna hit the button and go home.
Vincent's Bond takes are worse than his Hall of Fame takes.
I know,
What is
can you
going on
imagine?
here?
Well, I would say Sean Connery won. I do think upon rewatch recently of some Pierce Brosnan stuff that those movies are so bad. I watched a Roger Moore Octo P earlier today.
Name of the movie. You can say it. Moonraker's fantastic, by the way.
Is it?
No, but it's like this football game. It's so bad.
Moonraker is like this football game. It's like also why Moonraker is why Austin Powers was created.
Yeah, that checks out.
It's like the entirety of that is ridiculous. GoldenEye's good. GoldenEye is very good. Like I like the nostalgia of it is probably better than the actual movie.
Anthony in the comments mentions that Timothy Dalton did 2.
Ah, there you go. Sean Connery, but like it's like Sean Connery and then a massive gap. And I think probably Daniel Craig and then Pierce Brosnan and then Roger Moore would be my top 4.
You didn't mention George Lazenby.
I'm not going to watch the George Lazenby.
All right. That's disrespectful to George, but okay.
517 in the chat says the score was 9-6 for a long time because the Queen just died at 96 years old. I'm not sure that's exactly why the score was 9-6.
It's a good a reason as any. I mean, actually, it makes more sense than the football we actually watched.
Is that an incredible like stat bot that's in the chat? Sean Connery Bonds are boring. No, Bonds are great.
It is weird. So, like that, the James Bond, those came out in the 60s primarily. So that is, I'm trying to think. If I watched that in the 80s, that was 20 years, 15 years, before. When you think about movies that are 15 years old now compared to the movies that are 15 years old when you grow up, the 15-year-old movies now seem a lot better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's like I'm trying to think what the Goldfinger, for instance, James Bond, I believe is it the intro or is it later? Connery puts on like a helmet and then like flies out on a jetpack.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Right, but like when they cut to Connery like holding the handles of this like antiquated jetpack, he's like very clearly on a green screen. The special effects just don't work. I mean, even Top Gun, like Maverick's incredible, but you go back and watch Top Gun and the special effects and the graphics, the special effects of like the fight scenes are very antiquated. It's like
that was 86. So whatever the math is on that. So 38, almost 40 years ago. Unbelievable. 36 years ago.
Are you a fan of Fletch?
Yeah, and you already told us they're making a new one with John Hamm. I'm out.
Trying to promote the new movie. I'm on the payroll for John Hamm.
But I of course I know Fletch. Fletch is
Confess, Fletch. It's pretty good.
One of the all-time greats.
Hey, John Hamm took a shot at the Patriots on the Manning cast on Monday night.
That was a good one. I thought it was very funny.
Solid.
Breech made us late for an event and the Atlanta Super Bowl because we had to stop while Breech gawked and took a picture of.
Somebody saved that Super Bowl? Who was it?
Breech took a picture of John Hamm and
no. I took a picture of Paul Rudd and didn't even know John Hamm was in the picture.
I think they're
and both. Then one of you guys were like, "Dude, John Hamm's in your picture." I was like, "Wait, what? John Hamm's in my picture?"
They're both Chiefs fans. No, he's a St. Louis fan. John Hamm.
Yeah.
But Rudd is a Chiefs fan, I believe. They're Midwesterners. How about that?
Billy said we couldn't get 47 minutes.
All right, let's wrap this thing, Billy.
John Hamm. Did you hear John Hamm give Dave Damashek a shout out on the Mannycast?
I didn't give a shout out. He told me kicked him off the.
But
he got mad about it.
That'd be pretty cool if you. Yeah. John Hamm's on the Peyton Manning, Eli Manning broadcast of Monday Night Football, and he's like
making fun of you.
He's like, I kicked Ryan Wilson out of the league. Like, you'd like that.
It sounded like Damashek wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, as Nick Ado points out, we're talking about Bond and John Hamm because that's how good this game was.
All right, let's wrap this.
Anything?
No.
Anything? Any other takeaways from this game?
I cannot wait for next Thursday night. That's how excited I'm about this game.
Commanders Bears.
You can't wait for next Thursday. Let's just pre-podcast that one tonight because we already know what's going to happen. Carson Wentz going to.
Last question. So 21 points were scored in this game. Over under next Thursday night. 21 points. Total.
I'll take the over.
I'm going to bang the under.
Over under 21 pass attempts for Justin Fields next Thursday.
Banging the under on everything. Whatever your bet is, I'm taking the under.
Yeah, this under is pretty bad.
All right.
Under.
Okay.
Under 21 points, Breech?
You really don't want to get to 50 minutes just to let people know how we go?
I do not.
Fine. Yeah. Amazon is like the sharks. Like they're like, whoa. What's our return policy?
People were canceling their Amazon Prime subscriptions throughout this Thursday night football game.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them.
I'd rather pay full price for shipping, please.
Okay, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. We learned. I mean, look, these two teams are not fun. That's the primary takeaway from this. No touchdown scored. Ryan Wilson's.
Shout out to both kickers, Brandon McManus and Chase McLaughlin.
That's right. Didn't even talk about the kickers enough somehow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Breech, for Wilson, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.